Give me 1 second. I ain't gonna do it without the bells on. Oh no. All right, I got you. Peace. Peace. Hope everybody live. We here, Noble. How you doing, man? Like I said, we're gonna get started promptly. Can you hear me? I want to make sure the volume is up because I want us to be clear with certain situations, and we just want to clear some topics up. Awesome, man. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm on YouTube too. Yep, I'm on YouTube. Come on YouTube as well. Indeed. And like I said, man, give donations when we speak every time. $5 or $10, man. We're trying to get this physical temple built out here, man. And that's what everybody, $100 donation each month is going to do. We're going to be transparent. But yes, YouTube as well, man. Like it. And if you're on there, like it, man. Give it some thumbs up, man. We're here to educate. We're not here to debate. You know, what we're trying to do is show the people what we're going to do systematically. Peace, cousin. So I want us to be clear on some things. Because today, right now, we're going to do our Sunday ministry. Tomorrow, we're going to do our civics. We're going to go live on question and answers. And we're going to do some question and answers today to make sure we're clear to go to the next level in our teachings for all students and members. If anybody want to become a student or member, all you have to do is email me at goodmancareer@gmail.com. You know, we're just getting started. We're just getting started. And this is going to be an amazing journey for everyone. You know, it's going to be an educational journey. And we're not here for no religious dogma. We're not here to argue with anyone or try to convince anyone of something. This is a gift. I'm not here to debate no one, and I'm not here to, how can I say it, have a pissing contest with brothers and sisters. Like, we're here to debate something, and history and law and civics is nothing to debate, and science is nothing to debate. All people debate is theories, and we're not here to debate any theory, right? Shalom, peace, something. Somebody talk to me. Somebody talk to me, y'all. Right? So I hope everybody have their pencils and their papers, because we got to be clear on things, because we do things legally and lawfully, man. And we don't tell individuals or even suggest someone to do something that we're not doing. You know, so share these teachings, man. And brothers and sisters, the teachings, I can be corrected if I'm teaching something wrong. That's how I know the teachings that I'm teaching are not wrong. What's wrong is people coming into any science or to any wisdom or to any understanding thinking someone owed them something, and not understanding who you are in law and in history, and then operating in such a manner as a business, understanding your rights. And so when we talk about things and when we let people, how can I say, talk about certain topics or business, and then all you have to ask them, okay, well, are you doing it? Or are you operating in that fashion? No. Well, that's a log and that's a pointer. How can we talk about things or what about something works, or you can do this and you can do that, and you're not even operating in that fashion? That's not what we're here to do. If we're here to do something, we're here to correct ourselves and make sure our household is correct. That's the first thing we should be doing. That's the first thing we do, is make sure we correct, make sure our household correct, make sure the teachings that we're promulgating in the outside in the world is done in our household first. That's number one. We corrected ourselves first. Islam. Thanks for the donation. And that's all I ask for. Noble, send a $5, $10 donation when we do these teachings. That's all. We don't ask for much, but I just want to get us to giving something. Just imagine if we had everybody and we had 100 more doing this, man. We had a temple out here. I'd be at the temple already with the computers and everything. Islam. Just came across your video. I'm in a building that's buffering. You will definitely check it out. Islam. I'm on IG too. I'm on my Instagram page too, Noble. Islam. But that's all I be saying, man. I want our vibrations. I just operate in a different fashion, man. And I'm not here to talk about things and say what we can do and just a whole bunch of debating and no solutions. I'm here for solutions. That's why I don't talk about things. And that's why I said, man, it is a solution. What? Once we understand who we are economically, once we understand who we are as a people, once we understand our rights and the religious rights and the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendments, once we understand everything that we are a business and true civics and true history and true international, local, state, federal law, true linguistics, true history, true dispensations of time, understanding everything, because the true art of war is understanding how everyone thinks. This is not a game or a joke. This is not sending someone out telling them, oh, you heard or you think something can work. This is not fraudulently concealing anyone to nothing. Having playing make-believe with people, playing Monopoly with people per se. That's not my fight, and that's not my mission. And that shouldn't be none of our mission. Our mission is to do the things the right way, which the law say we can do. What? We can teach under our own vine and fig tree, religiously, spiritually, scientifically, educationally. We can ask for donations. How? Under our own auspices, the same way every other organization operates. And we sit up here and steady play games. And I'm like, man, the laws protect our religious rights. What are we even arguing about? Like, things are simple. If we say we study in the law, and if we say we are true historians, it's laid out for you. So when a person talk about something, something is hidden, I say, no, nothing is hidden. If nothing is hidden, everything I talk about can be found in the law libraries, can be found in the Library of Congress. Everything with doc numbers, historically, of who we are as Moors on paper. Nothing is mysterious. The problem, no one is, because you're looking in history and in science for so-called black history, and you're not going to find it under so-called black history. You will find things under the Renaissance times, under the Dark Ages and the medieval times, under certain dispensations, under the Byzantine. You will start seeing things in history, how things were rewritten from Latin and to Greek to English, you know, when we talk about linguistics. So that's a whole nother teaching. So, Moors, like I say, we are nobles. And noble means something to me. We're not no radical Moors or no gangster Moors or none of the such. We got to stop playing. We know what everybody in the world know what this Fez represents. It's nothing. It's no secret. It's no joke. The only person that will play games and the only people I've come across that will act silly and say retarded jokes about this Fez, our national headdress, no disrespect, is Negro, blacks, and colored. No disrespect to no one. I've never ran across any other nationality that'll make a mockery of this Fez, because they know exactly what this Fez represents. They know we don't wear the Fez in clandestine. They know what this toppy is all about, or this tarbouche. So come on, man. They, certain individuals know, especially the people that's under, no disrespect to no one's, under religious or how can I say, a European masonry or Negro masonry, which is Prince Hall. A lot of them have no clue what the science is all about, because they're buried in a shallow grave. They are under our analogies, like haram or beef, and not understanding the science. But that's a whole nother teaching. And they're not even telling them what the Tubal Cain science is all about. It's all an analogy and a parable, outward things. But let's get to the educational part of these teaching, Moors. When I say, man, it's the right way to do things. And we must be honorable in everything we do. So the first thing I want to talk about, because I want to spread a little history, because it's still so-called Black History Month, and I'm an educator as well, and I'm going to give you some education as well with this. But let me ask you something. I want responses, because this is how you get caught up with people playing make-believe, and they telling you a little bit of the law, but not taking you all the way there and then getting you in trouble. So I'm gonna ask you a scenario, and some of you, especially my cousin, y'all might have heard me say this because I go over these particular law cases over and over. But if you know the answer, don't blurt it out. I want to see if anybody else can answer this question when we're talking about law. And we're gonna what I'm doing is setting the atmosphere. So I hope you have your ears wide open, and your thinking cap on, and your hippocampus in tune, for your memory can elevate. So, if you're walking down the street and you see, say, hey, a pot of gold, no, a bicycle. We using basic things, and you like, man, okay, I don't walk across this bike, everything. Hey, I'm gonna get up over it and take it. I'm gonna go ahead and ride home. Have you stolen it, or did you find it? Did you steal it, or did you find it? Did you steal that, or did you find it? Cause we just setting the atmosphere before we get into the teachings, because I always want to. What I'm trying to do is get us to use our brains again. When people come just talking fast, and I'm like, wait, slow down. Put this in your mental calculator and start breaking it down, and you will be able to see the scam and a lot of this crap these people be doing, when I call fraudulent concealment. You will start seeing the lies when you're under a certain auspices of studying and putting everything in your mental calculator. Exactly. So if you came across something, Islam. So if you came across something like, okay, right, ISIS. So everybody said stole it because you did not do the process to claim it. Where I know but you was running with me. So if we say the process, peace. If we say the process, what's the process? So now we got to break the process down. Peace and love, Noble. Islam. So what's the process? See, so remember, because every state, every law is different. So in your particular, what would be the process? And it's the general process in every area. The days might be a lot longer or shorter per se, depending on your area. So what's the process when that particular situation happens? What's the process? It's because it's a simple process all over, but it might be a little longer depending on the area you live in. Do we know? Anybody? And this is how we learn. This is how we correct teachings, man. Do we know? More science is thinking. Put it in public paper for 30 days. If nobody claimed it, it's yours. Maybe, Noble, depending on your area. Oh, I said the question is, if you walking down the street per se, you must put it in some, you have the right, and you must put it in, if you walking down the street and the bike there, you pick it up and take it home, is it yours or did you steal it? And so I'll add on to that, but you're right, and you're right in a certain fashion. But remember, like I said, depending on the state. So if you was in a court of law and this happened in your area, remember what I'm trying to do is make us anal and make us so specific, so we don't leave any gray area, so a person can pick at it. When we say put it in the paper, if you're in the courtroom, you'll say, well, in this jurisdiction where I'm at, blah, they splee, the law pertaining to my area, and said is, in order for me to take possession of any item that's, how can I say, abandoned, XYZ, it need to be in the public paper for XY many days for public notice, for the owner can claim it, XYZ, boom, boom, boom. And so that's all I'm talking about, general and specific. General and specific. General and specific. When, say, you know the answer and then a person say, well, you will put it in writing or put it in the capstone. So say you can get the answer in your head, but then let me see you work it out, per se. Just like when I was getting my one of my undergrad in business, a lot of my business classes, especially like in micro and macroeconomics, a lot of the things I can work, a lot of the problems I can work out in my head. But then I had to do a capstone to explain exactly what I was saying and put it in detailed form and be specific. So that's all I'm saying. It's like when a person be like, oh, it works, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, they're not being specific. That's how you know they lying. Because every area and jurisdiction is different. Because every area and jurisdiction have different bylaws, have different laws everywhere. So that's the thing. And it's a thing called the Free Information Act. And it's a thing called a doc number. And it's a thing called the precedented cases. So these are the things that we know we can cross-reference if we're going to do scholarship. So that aspect's absolutely. Now, let's go with another avenue. And I want us to correct, and I want us to be very, very clear on things. So just like, okay, now you go in the neighborhood and you see, oh, nobody lives in this house, right? And then you just move in there. Is the house yours? Because I'm gonna tell you, and I know about all gray area, so don't make no stuff up and say you heard or nothing like that. So what and then remember, this is where the only people do this stuff. They go outside of their community and do this. Nobody, I never seen any more in their own community doing it, going in houses and things and getting them. Because if you was right and if you was operating right, you can get a lot of that stuff donated to you. And the people in your organization can rebuild your neighborhood and you can own your neighborhood as a charter community. So why would we want to put that energy in going into somebody's neighborhood talking about you finna get this mansion? Why? You see the mindset and what we people have us caught up in. Are you understanding what I'm saying? People be using the law to try to or give you fake law to try to actually have you be a criminal and looked at as some domestic terrorist. Especially talk about the expatriation and all that stuff, right, Morris? Come on. I mean, we got to be honest, man. We got to be totally honest with what this all about. So somebody talk to me. Why would we put that energy in the squat in somebody's neighborhood, in somebody's house, or something like that, instead of redoing our neighborhood? What you say, you must put it out for someone to have the right to claim it. But I understand when we say put it out. But when we say put it out, no disrespect. In science, if we was helping someone, when a person said you must put it out, be like, what do you must put out? You know what I mean? Because in the court of law, we must be specific and break things down in every molecule. That's all I'm saying when we're talking about science. If we're writing a manual, when we do things, we have to take it out, me and you talk, and put it in a certain language. Like it's a business language. It's a law language. It's a scientifical language. You know what I mean? So if we don't understand the language, we will be lost in translation or mistranslation. How? If we don't know the language. And the language can be the context or the linguistics that I'm coming from. Just like a legal language, just like in law. Something's in law, a definition or a description can mean something totally different in general definition of words, especially in the context of law. You know what I mean? Especially in a linguistical or philosophical concept or a mathematical concept. You see? Islam Morris? Somebody talk to me, man. Because we don't want to have people out here doing things that's against the true laws. And then having people having a selected few. I call them rogues. I'm not even going to call them dirty Morris because I'm not going to give them that energy doing things that they know is right. I mean, it's not right. So we should never be doing things and taking on other people's fights and things. And when you look at it, it's like it's not doing nothing for you or your family or your community. So the next thing I want to be clear on, okay, you get a mortgage, you get a house. And this is the thing. Just like when you get some medicine per se, like we see on TV, and they say it'll cure, say, bumps on your face, but all your fingernails will fall out. All your teeth will start falling out. You will pass gas all day. And they say that real fast to get you caught up. But I say, I hear that. But what's all the ramifications? We don't read the whole contract of anything. We're not talking about our rights. When you go to any contractual agreement, know if you willingly or unwillingly, you go in as a contractual obligor. And these are the things that we must understand. And then when you go to court and things, what you will be get caught at in contempt of court. Because the first thing you will be asked as a referee on the benches, did you read the contract? Yeah, no, you didn't. Because in the court of law, there's no excuse of not knowing the law. So we have to be clear on things and not get caught up in our feelings. And not get caught up in characters. And if we're going to study and research, we got to correct ourselves and to correct what we thought and what we believed. Because you shouldn't care what you thought or what you believe. You should only care about what you know and what you can prove. 1 Thessalonians 5:21. So when you get a house and you get a mortgage, do you think you own it? Let's talk. Now, let's talk, because we're going to do, I told you, I'm going to give you a little bit of civics, and then I'm going to break it down to this science. Do you think you own it? When you get a mortgage, when you go to the bank and you get a mortgage and all that, and they give you a paper, and you don't read it all, and you sign something, do you think you own that house? Somebody talk to me. Somebody talk to me. Okay? Come somebody talk to me. Let's keep going. Because if we say no or yes, and then we got to give a little insight on it, because this is how we want to teach. Okay? No? Okay, give me some insight. Everybody that's saying something, give me some insight, because this is how we teach. And we're going to see if we're going to be able to defend ourselves if it was us. Okay, we say, but what do it mean? Dead pledge equal mortgage. Okay, so you got a house. So everybody if they're not staying in an apartment, they may have a mortgage. So now let's put it in layman terms. So dead pledge equal mortgage. Okay, what does that mean? So if you got a mortgage, so you got a house. Most people got houses. Do you have a mortgage? Let's be honest. Let's walk around. So if we're going to do something, we got to correct ourselves, because we can't be logs just pointing. So if you got a house and people went through the bank, it's a lot of people have houses. Do you got a mortgage? Yes or no? Because these are the things we gotta talk. We gotta be, huh? Let's see. Okay, you own it after mortgage is paid off. No, you don't. I'm glad you said that. Now, like, keep that in here because it said you own it after mortgage is paid off. No, you don't. Watch. I'm gonna show you don't. I'm gonna show you don't. I'm gonna show you don't. No disrespect, no to nobody. I'm gonna show you don't own nothing after no mortgage is paid off. You say you own it after mortgage is paid off. Now, remember, I got to be technical because in the court of law, there's no excuse of not knowing the law. Come on. Let me get some more answers, because this is how we teach. I mean, and this is how we learn. So somebody said it. Made the statement, dead pledge equal mortgage. Indeed, we get that. I get that. So, would you say you love to learn? Me too. So let's break it down. Mortgage is a certificate of title, not a lodio. Okay, break it down. Break it down. Because see, this is how we teach. When I say this is the teaching, this is what they did to us. This is how they messed us up in school. Watch this. Because see, this is how I teach exactly how we're doing. We having what? Dialogue. When we have dialogue, that means what? We learn. We learn off each other because things add up. And that's what they stripped our kids from, what? Having dialogue. And so this is what we do. We have dialogue. And so we build upon what? The proper answer and the proper dialogue. So let's be correct. And so when I teach, we got to remove our personal perspective. So when we say things, a lot of us have mortgages. We got to be honest. So if we're going to say we got mortgages and then we say it's dead pledge and all that, and then one of the mortgage and one of the nobles said after you pay it off, you own it. I say, no, you don't. You don't own a damn thing after you pay your mortgage off. Because if you don't pay the taxes on it, I'll buy your property off the back taxes. I'll buy your property right off the back taxes. I'm gonna tell you more about power, but I'm gonna teach us. I'm gonna say we say some things, but we have to be matter-factual. Remember this is the thing I want us to understand. Just like when you have attorneys, that's part of the British Anatolian Registry, they're not gonna teach you the truth. They're not gonna tell you the truth about the law and everything because they have a motive. So I'll give you something to compare to. So number one, back to the statement I was saying, we don't own nothing, because when you're doing all that, it's a lot of stuff that you give back, and what you give back is the power of attorney. Because if you bought the house, why they didn't give you a check for you can cash it and buy the property and have it? You ain't no, when you got no mortgage, ain't no cash being exchanged hands. They ain't cut you no check. So let's correct the cheatings. So one of the nobles said that after you pay the mortgage off, it's yours. And I say contrary. I say I guarantee that ain't it. Because if you own it, you don't pay the property taxes. I'll get your house. Depending on the laws in your area, like in Michigan, you got 90 days. So say if you don't pay your back taxes in 90 days, I come pay the back taxes, and you got whatever X amount of time to pay it off. If you don't pay it, it's mine, and then I'm gonna reestablish everything.
So you paid the mortgage, but you gotta pay the taxes.
You damn right. So you don't own nothing. If you pay the mortgage and you got to pay taxes, you don't own nothing. If you got to win in a 30-year mortgage to buy something, and then you got to pay taxes on what? You don't own it. You don't even own the property that is owned.
No, I'm just saying.
No. Let's watch this. Now, this is what a lot of people don't do when they don't read contracts. Your house can be under the two type of contracts. Your house can be under a structural contract and a land contract. How? Because the land that the structure own, you might not own it. So if you own the house, jack your house up and take it on your land. Where you gonna take it? Never land?
On another property.
Wait. But these are the things that I be saying. So when people be like, oh, and they get in their lower self, I said, no. And then I talk about things like this, about a living trust. And when I have to give real civics and real law, because this is my job. I tell people, I say, I could care less. I have a real profession, But when we talk about trust and living trust and things of this manner and things of this context, when we talk about ownership and property and assets and things, why you think different people and different whatever nationality, whatever you want to call it, our structure, and they never lose things to taxes and things, and they pass things on to their children, their grandchildren, and grandma's house being a family for 120 years. All this, like, this is our property. This is our this is part of our family history. It's going to be passed down. Why you think they don't never lose none under no back taxes or no litigation? Why? Because why? And see, we just talk about stuff. And I say every person on here be talking that stuff about what a deed is, and it's dead, and mortgage is dead. But then every more that be saying that they have a house and a mortgage. And I'm not talking about nobody individually. I'm just talking about the ones that I know that be talking that stuff, and they have exactly that stuff that they be talking about. The property is owned at the beginning, what granted to by previous grantor. So if we know all this stuff, why do we go on those contracts willingly as an obligor? Now I'm going right back to the root. See, now a lot of us so if we know that, and then if you know that, and we say that, what it's saying is we know. So we go in certain things willingly. If we know something, but we'll go into that contractual agreement, we get all of a sudden amnesia, but we'll get on the internet and say all this, but won't do it in real life. And go into these contractual agreements, but then get on here and say we didn't do it. And I say everything you go into is a contractual agreement. None of your stuff is set up as a business. Your car ain't. Everything is set up under personal. Under personal. Nothing is set up under a business structure. Why? Because we don't listen. No disrespect. And then when we own stuff, we don't take it out of public and put it in private. But we'll just talk. We'll just talk. And it ain't no disrespect to no one. We'll just talk. We'll just talk about things. We'll just talk about things. We'll talk about what somebody else doing. But then when it comes to the real life, instead of this monopoly, instead of just YouTube, we won't go and do that. We won't go and do the things that we will say. We won't use our all rights reserved. We don't say we don't use our bay on everything. We don't proclaim and declare and have due process. We think we got to go do something and go beg somebody. We won't do things the right way, you know? And so that's the concept what I'll be saying. I'm like, man, I hear us. I said, but we all can talk this, but we all live in places. I guarantee you when you ain't get your place, you ain't reserved your right. Just like every other business do when you go into a contractual agreement. I don't care if it's a cell phone, cable, on everything is reserve your right. I guarantee you don't reserve your right on all your paperwork. I guarantee you. Or your bay on your L. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. I guarantee you. I guarantee you go everything as a public individual, because we won't understand business and we won't be educated on certain things. So we operate everything under public instead of private. And you don't understand that you're a business. I'm telling you, man. So when we talk about allodial land title, do you own your property? And many Americans, and even people that may think we know something, when we've been miseducated, and we have to accept that fact. We went to school all these years and these professors and these teachers, we done went to all these colleges and everything, and you ain't learned nothing about no Moorish American history. And then when your brother don't say something you don't agree with, we want to call our own brothers and sisters COINTELPRO agents and all this. But you ain't calling nobody else no damn agent. You ain't calling the academia and the church. You ain't calling none of that. But they got us set tripping on each other. They got Morris talking about arguing what color fez somebody wearing. I was like, this is ridiculous. We were miseducated, with religion, taught all wrong, but we ain't gonna jump down nobody else's throat on that. People been wearing the fez, even your dad, your uncle's been wearing the fez, ain't telling you nothing about the science because they signed some oath. We ain't gonna say nothing about that. And that's the problem. They want us to be separate. And that's the problem. But a lot of Americans have not come to the realization that their homes, businesses, and properties are a collateral under federal debt. Even if you have the deed and it's paid for in full, if the federal government defaults on its interest obligation, the private world bankers automatically become the new landlords of every home, business, and property in the United States. And this is just law. Yeah, they got a family trust. That's right. Man, look, I've been telling people about like when you see my coats, when my dad have on our family crest, and I'll be working out with this one guy. He's from Russia, and I came in with my family crest outfit, and he automatically stopped me. He was like, "Come here." We was working out. He was like, "You a Moor?" I'm like, "Huh?" He ain't say Negro, black, and color. He knew because he was like, "Ain't no." He like only Moors know this. And he was like, man, Moors all in Russia. You got to talk about Alice Pushkin, the Russian artist, the Moor. They knew about all this. He knew about the Corsica flag. I said the only one that don't know about history is Negro, blacks, and colored. When I say we were all over Europe, Britain. They wrote about us. The ancient modern Britons, David MacRitchie, we were all over. Frank Bruno, where is he from? Britain. I mean, this is that fought Mike Tyson. This is simple stuff. And this is stuff that can be looked up. But fortunately, our founding fathers, they realized the importance of property ownership. And there are laws structured to protect citizens against taxes and seizures. This is free information. But I said, you have to know how to find it. That's why I said, if a person giving you real stuff, they don't act like it's something scary and spooky, because we operate in the law. And today, over 75% of Americans do not have the highest form of a title on their homes, businesses, or properties. Instead, they have deeds, which are merely a color of a title. Oh, Cash App $KG Bay for donations. Thank you, Noble, for your donations. I want to appreciate that, man. And that's what I be saying, man. If Nobles give $5, $10 donations, man, it's appreciative. Because I know I'm giving more science and history that we can look up. I ain't here for no motive. I'm here to educate. I'm trying to build a school, a real school. Already, my paperwork already right. I just need the people. We just now getting started. But to understand how creditors or bankers qualifies your property, it is essential to understand one legal term, and that's the color of, and that's the color, or the color of, or color, color of, or color. Are y'all following me? Y'all follow me? It's defined in Black Law's Dictionary in the 6th edition as what? Appearance or semblance, as distinguished from that which is real, a prima facie, a deceptive appearance. Color of title is defined as that which is appearance is the title, but it's not title in fact or in law. You can research that in a precedent case of Wright, W-R-I-T-E versus Matron, M-A-T-R-O-N, right? Right? How US 50, the color of title is appearance of title, coupled with possession. It purports to convey ownership. And this is not to say, however, that it actually conveys ownership. That's also can be found in Rawson versus Fox and David versus Hall. And did you know that a deed is only a color of a title? And deeds constitute color of titles. That's in Drayden versus Newman. A warranty deed of conveyance is a color of title. That's in Dempsey versus Burns. A quit claim deed is a color of title. That's a Stafford versus Stubbs. And thus any tax deed which purports on its face to convey title is a color of title. That's in the case of Walker versus Converse. So this is just things that we should be educated on when we go into anything as an obligor, willingly or unwillingly. Patents are issued between sovereigns, and these are executed by persons and private corporations. Just like when I be talking about some of the black laws and people say, oh, that's all abolished. No, it hasn't. It just been, a lot of it's been modernized. And when you identify as a Negro, black, and colored, it's a lot of stuff that identify on that. Why you think when they want you to fill out for a job, they want you to put black or white and over, and a lot of times you don't understand that a lot of pay is based on how you look at, but you don't know that. I mean, how you look and your skin tone. But we'll go deeper with that in another portion, you know? But patents are issued between sovereigns, and these are executed by persons and private corporations. That's in the case Leading Fighter versus Country of Gregory. A patent is the highest evidence of a title and is conclusive against the government and all claiming under junior titles until it's set aside or annulled by some judicial tribune. That's Stone versus the U.S. See, this is when people be talking about, oh, wait, these are precedented law cases. You can look up doc numbers. It's nothing, no history. We operate on law. That's why I say, how can a Moor call himself some sheik? A sheikin is an adept. A sheik is a philosopher, a teacher, a divine minister, a historian. We just don't give ourselves titles, man. Our titles are earned. We are anointed with certain things and consecrated. The patent, which is a land patent, is the only evidence of the legal fee simple title or the allodial, which can be researched in the McConnell versus Wilcox. You can look up certain scams and stuff. Issuance of a government patent granting title to land is the most accredited type of conveyance known to outlaw. That was in the U.S. versus the Creek Nation. Also, look up the U.S. versus the Cherokee Nation. Also, when Moore's Law, the Black Laws Dictionary, 6th edition, allodial, free, not beholden, or not beholden of any lord or superior, owned without obligation, the opposite of feudal. Research the Barker versus Dayton. Research Wallace versus Homestead. Allodium, Allodium, is the land held absolutely in one's own right and not of any lord or superior. Land not subject to feudal duties or burdens, property taxes, property taxes, property taxes, property taxes, and municipal codes. And the state held by absolute ownership without recognizing any superior to whom any duty is due on account thereof. Wash Real Property, 16, Kyle, New York. So when we be going to these places and be asking somebody something, especially a court clerk, it's not their job to help you with anything. It's things that you can go hire because that's not their job. And that's what a thing in science and a thing in education is. You let somebody tell you something and you think that's law without researching and going further to make sure it's nothing that trumps that. So you let somebody stop your research right there. How can they say it ain't no more? And you will stop. Sad. Sad. We got to understand about the lower courts. We got to just understand about everything. That's why if you don't have an allodial title on your property, someone else owns it. Even if it's paid in full, you still owe the taxes. So you're not the king. That's why you don't own your property. And that's just facts. And we can't get upset at a fact. So when a person telling us a whole bunch of hogwash and giving us a whole bunch of fake law, you need to tell them to sit down. Just like when Morris be trying to tell you not to pay taxes and with some fake, and I told y'all, anything that's personal, you paying taxes. And I'll show you all the people that went to jail under that fraudulent 16th Amendment stuff. I'll show you what that was. That's personal taxes. I even show you the Europeans that went to jail, that wrote books about it, and they went to jail. And everybody that followed them, they went to jail and had to pay money. It's just what it is. I'm telling you, man. A law can point and can say something to get you so caught up, to get you some stuff, doing some stuff outside of the law, and have you looked at like a domestic terrorist. Have you doing things and have you getting in trouble. Have you just filling paperwork out and giving up your social security number to individuals and things. Why would you do that? Why would we be thinking somebody can give you some ID, an individual? Why? We got to stop that, man. We got to stop that, y'all. I'm serious. So we're going to educate. We're going to educate. We're going to educate. We're going to educate. And I'm going to give you a little science because we got a little bit. We got another hour or 30 minutes. But watch how I break stuff down to us, man. Do we understand etymology? Do we understand etymology, Morris? Because it's Sunday, so we're going to break some law down. Do we understand etymology? If we do, fine. If we don't, okay. Well, we're going to break some stuff down real simple. We're going to break some stuff down real simple. Okay, Morris? Do we understand etymology? Do we understand etymology? Yes or no? Talk to me. Just give me a little response. Do we understand etymology, Morris? Yes or no? Somebody give me a response. Because we on YouTube too. So we understand etymology. So we do. Okay, good. We understand etymology. But do we practice it and can we use it? Yes or no? Okay, yes, he said yes. Okay, now watch this. Okay. So what's Vatican? Because if we say something now I want to ask, and that means we understand gematria and the biblical codes. Because if we understand etymology, this is a simple process that we can do. When I say we're going to be tested on things, Because if we say something, that means we know how to work it. That's why I was just talking about a capstone. Like if we can get the answer, but then can we break it down? Can we write the manual? Can we help somebody else? And can we break it down and put ourselves back together? So when we say yes, then we should be able to do this process with anything. Just like when people say they some Egyptologists and they study the metanetter, then you should be able to understand any language if you understand any alphabet as a scientist. I hope that, so we should be clear on that. And there's no disrespect. It's no disrespect. Cause we gonna do it, we get ready to do an etymology test on two things. And watch, some of us get it all right, some of us may not. Because some of us might be quick with our hands to try to research it real fast. But if we say we understand something, that means it's already there. Right, Morris? Somebody talk to me. Right? Islam? Shalom Alakim, peace be with you. Aya Asha Aya. Something, talk to me before we can go on. Right? So, I would say I heard of it, never studied it. Okay, but I got a couple, let me see who said they studied it and understand. I got Dan Britt, Islam Moore, I got Solomon, I got Taj, I got a couple people say they understand it. So if we understand it without trying to research it, the etymology meaning of the word Vatican, break that down. Because this is what we do, and if we can't do it, that's okay. Because it's a certain process how we can be correcting. And I said we all got to agree on what? The science. Because we can assume something and say something and say something so eloquently and use so many descriptive words and can make something sound so good, but it still can be a packaged up lie. Or a person's belief can be based off a lie. Or a person can be sincere, but they're sincerely wrong. And that's okay. But if we're coming from love and we're trying to spread love, then we can be corrected with love. Islam? That's all I'm saying. Because we trying to perfect these teachings. We ain't trying to lead nobody out the house the wrong way. Did you say basket and cooking? No, I said the etymology meaning of the word Vatican. The etymology meaning of the word Vatican. The etymology meaning of the word Vatican. When we can clear some things up. Do we understand the etymology meaning of the word Vatican? When we say we understand etymology. So if we understand etymology, that means we can do things or we can break things down in a certain fashion, like a master mechanic or in electrician or a person that work on cars and engines. You see, so it don't take long. And see that, and no disrespect, that's what I be saying. Is like if we say we can do some things, then we just ask questions, and I say, okay, well, let's do it. And then if we can't do it, then we don't get upset and be like, oh, we're making an excuse where I don't have time, because I always have time if I'm on here. If I'm on here live, I have time. If I say I can do something, I'm gonna break it down no matter where we at. And it's no disrespect to no one. So that's why I say when we be correct on things, and we shouldn't assume things, and we shouldn't base our understanding just on what somebody's saying and no proof. So when I talk about the etymology and the meaning of the word Vatican, and when we say we Egyptologists and we understand the metanetter, we should be able to do etymology on everything and be precise and correct any teaching from love, which is the science. And that's all I be saying when people give themselves titles, and when we say, oh, I'm this and I'm that. And when I come from elementary science and I say, let's break this elementary science down, no, a person that gives themselves a title, and I'm not talking about anybody particular, you know what I mean? I'm just saying when people give themselves titles of sheiks and adepts, and then we start breaking elementary wisdom down, we start backing away. And that's how we correct things from etymology, understanding words, understanding the source of words, understanding the root where the words come from, understanding if these Greek or Latin words, and understanding the history where the words come from, and understanding what they mean then in that time period, understanding if this word was never used in that time period for that context or that you was trying to use the word in. So when we talk about the Sanskrit, we talk about the Vati, the V-A-T-I, the Vati in the Vati, the V-A-T-I, in Vatican. It means it blows. That is linked with the old High German Feeder for father. Remember I told y'all everything is wrapped, a lot of stuff in history is wrapped up in religion. When I talk about the doctrine of discovery, everything I was talking about yesterday, and when I teach from a historical aspect, and there is an exact match to the Sanskrit with the German Vati that translate as father. The German Vati, V-A-T-I, that translates as father. And the Vati, the V-A-T-I, the Vati, the can, the Vatican, the Vatican. Vatican would mean what? What would it mean? For brothers that say they linguistics, I just broke the linguistic down. So what the Vatican, what would it mean? What would it mean? And this is simple science because I just broke it down. I just did an etymological simple. That was elementary. So what would it mean? What would the Vatican? What would it mean? Since can from the Vatican is the Spanish word for what? Huh? Remember, man, this when we say we can do something, this is so simple. If we understand what? Etymology. The etymology is the root of words and where words come from and how we break them down. This is math. This is how we say we in a depth. This is mechanics. Do we know what it means? Remember, what's the Spanish word? Right? Can from Vatican is the Spanish word for what? Come on. This is simple. Vatican would mean what, Moors? It would mean what? The what? Since can from Vatican is the Spanish word for what? It's the Spanish word for. That's why when I be telling y'all, we don't know what people be saying and words to spell because we don't know what they mean and what the root and what the etymology of the word mean. If we don't know what they say it, because I want to move forward. This Vatican would mean what? Since can from Vatican is the Spanish word for. This is how you can correct the linguistics. Somebody will be talking to you all over your head using so many words in a different context, and then it'll snap on you because we don't understand words. I'm glad we said that. I don't know. That's what I like. Can you give me some libations, Empress? Thank you, my love. Come on, somebody else. And this is how we can check it. Thank you, Noble. He said, I don't know. And this one, I like us truth because a lot of us will say, yep, I do it, yep. And then nobody be like, oh, he said you can do it. And then when it's time for us somebody to do it, we can't do it. Or you can say, I can change your engine. I'll bring you to fix my engine. You don't know what the hell I'm doing. Huh?
Father.
Close, Empress. You close. You close, Empress. You close. You close, Empress. But this is my Empress study. Now watch this.
Damn.
Vatican would mean what? It would mean the dog father. It would mean the dog father. Since can from Vatican is the Spanish word for dog. Is the Spanish word for dog as related to the dog star Sirius that resides in the constellation Canis Major. That's how I know Moors when they're not connecting things. And I say it's a higher science. And a lot of Moors are not under the science because we just arguing about a whole bunch of garbage. And then you look at their life, it's in shambles. Dog spelled backwards is God, and thus Vatican would also mean the Godfather, in which the Pope is also known as the Papa, since Spanish Pope means Papa. And the Italian Vider, feeder translate into English as sea. And it is part of the reason why the Pope is also referred to as what? The Holy See. La Sana Sede. La Sana Sede. LASANTA means the Holy See, the seat, the headquarters, which shows who keeping this science and keeping things away from everyone, from spiritually evolving. It's just what it is. And that's why I be telling people like, we are the elite. It's right here. This is the teachings. I don't hide nothing from nobody. I'm an educator. This is simple. This is simple. We are the scientists. We are the magi's. I'm right here. I'm right here. And there's no disrespect. One of my elders was telling me, Noble, if you ain't going to toot your horn, who else going to toot it? He's like, it's about you. Everybody is dead and gone in the flesh. Give them their proper props and keep it pushing. The right people will follow you that want to be educating their children. Let's move, man. It's right here. We can already be there educating, teaching the people, spreading the truth. and removing the veil. Watch this. Watch this other simple science. And we on YouTube because we're going to have to log off and log back on for the second half. When I talk about how we are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, that's Hosea 4 and 6. Watch how we've been miseducated again with this. When I talk about kumbaya, and then we really finna teach. I hope y'all got your pens. Kumbaya. And did, what you say, Empress? And did so-called black slaves sing songs in Hebrew. Watch this. Many of us have heard and even sung Kumbaya at some point in your life, but most people weren't even aware of the origin of the song or the meaning of the words. Even when we was in elementary, we were told that it meant come by here, right? When y'all taught that song meant come by here? Come on, tell the truth. Everybody, your mama, y'all seen that? Kumbaya, my Lord, kumbaya. And then somebody gonna tell you that mean come by here. And somebody gonna tell you that mean come by here. I know, and that's why I be saying be honest. And that's why I say ain't nobody this. A lot of us done did this to ourselves, and our parents done did this to ourselves too. We got to get out of that. A lot of us was taught that, and a lot of us believe that at a long time. But let's break this down in the word in real dialect, so we can be truthful and be like, wow, yes, let's break it down so we can understand. So we don't get caught up in no characters, nobody portraying something. And that's why I say this is the thing when I be breaking down in science and in our teachings. You know, a person that want to act like there's something and don't know, and then when it's time for them to learn, they don't want to learn. You got to step over that, because that's a fool. Excuse my candor. Log back on IG, y'all. That's a fool. A person that acts like they know and don't know, and then when they see their brother that knows, they won't even humble themselves. They'll just keep on going with a lie. You got to step across that, because that's a fool. Flat out. A person that acts like they know and dressed up like they know, dressed up like they some of them, dressed up like they some scientists, and they don't really know, that's a problem. That's a huge problem. Because all I'm doing is, this is elementary, especially if someone say that they're a sheik, because in more science, a sheik is an adept. An adept means everybody's not sick in the same fashion. That's why we just don't go around giving ourselves titles. That's why we don't. It's a certain level. It's a certain science you must exhume. It's a certain way that you must live. It's certain things that you must have together on this physical earth plane. You must be a Buddha, per se, to bring people together. That's what this is all about. But a lot of us has been miseducated, especially linguistically. So the cum, or the KUM, or the QUM in the Strong's lexicon is 6965, and it means stand up and arise. So let's go back to what everybody been telling us. Well, how the hell can somebody come by here from stand up and arise? The cum, the KUM in the cum, and our own mamas and fathers and uncles and sisters, they still hold that. Oh, it means come by here. No, it don't. If you take a second to research it, and that's what religion have done. Religion has blind us to what? The facts, to the truth. We need the truth. We need the scientifical matter, the objective of this. So it don't mean no come by here. Come by here and do what? Stand up and arise, my Lord. What? The Lord in you. Stand up and arise. Stand up erect. Are y'all following me? Man, y'all should be getting chill bumps just like I be when I be teaching this truth. This is for myself as well. The BA, it doesn't have any meaning along in the Hebrew, but it may be abbreviation. Islam, I had note from the last time you taught. Islam, from Abba, which means father. And the Yah is the Strong lexicon from 3050. And this word is translated as Lord in scripture when referring to the God of Israel. So we can see how we've been lied to all across the board. And when you translate the lyrics, it means arise, Father God, and not come by here, as we were told. And there's certain languages, Hebrew languages and things, and different languages that people had when we looked in certain areas, like in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, that Gullah language per se, right? You see how we were misled? We see how we were miseducated? So I'm going to correct these teachings. I'm going to get into spirituality, right? I told y'all Alex Haley plagiarized all that, right? All that whole book. And that comes from a book called The African by a European white dude, Colander. And all that stuff was fake, you know? Y'all knew that, right? Right? Y'all knew that, right? No disrespect to nobody, but y'all knew that, right, Morris? Then y'all know Roots was all fake. He made all that up. He ain't no Kunta Kinte. That one his ancestor. He made all that stuff up was a lie, a bold-faced lie. You knew that, right? We knew that, right, Morris? Come on. We knew that, right? Somebody talk to me. Not saying that we have to know it, but right? And I'm gonna show you how people just throw stuff in our face and just to act and to throw us off the market, to throw us off, to have us all caught up. So we got the science. So we shouldn't be letting nobody spread that. We should be talking about. We should be watching some roots. That's some history. We should be correcting the teachings to anybody, even our kids. But like nobody should be showing that as no historical event in history, because that's make believe. That's fairy tale. Y'all know that, right? It proved that they don't want the truth. Alex Haley stole all this stuff from Harold Colander, the African, all of it. And only a year after Haley had became a literary star, he was sued by Colander and settled after a 5-year trial for $650,000. Judge Robert Ward, who presided over the case, says in the documentary, Alex Haley perpetuated a hoax on the public. That Alex Haley perpetuated a hoax on the public. That Alex Haley perpetuated a hoax on the public and got you thinking you some damn African slave, got you thinking about some damn Kunta Kinte. Stop, you see, so why we pointing at somebody else? We should point at our own brothers and sisters that do this garbage to us, that lie, and got you looked at as some damn domestic terrorist with that fraudulent stuff they doing. The judge, Robert Ward, who presided over the case, says in his documentary that Alex Haley perpetuated a hoax on the public, but with prototypical Caucasian paternalism. He tells the camera, I encouraged a settlement because I believe that Alex Haley was a significant figure in the black community. I believe that Haley was a symbol. I believe that it would not serve any purpose to smash the symbol. Listen to this language. In other words, if those darkies are happy with their African heritage hoax, let them have it. Their children anyway. The truth would overwhelm them. Poor things, since Roots, hundreds of thousands of Negro Americans have traveled back to Africa, creating quite a tourist industry. It's one the Gambian government seems to have foreseen when it supplied Haley with an interpreter to help him patch together the lie for tracing his family back to African village of Juffure, Juffure. In the BBC documentary, one expert after another shows just how much Americans were hoodwinked by this man. We find out that Haley admits to having had extensive passages written by his editor, Murray Fisher. Lisa Drew, another Doubleday editor, saw the big money coming and put Roots on the notification list, although it was obviously a novel. Presenting herself as a friend of the Negro, she offered the absurd defense that she didn't want bigots to dismiss the tale as a lie. Well, the whole thing is a lie. One that looms so large, the Pulitzer Prize Committee refused to consider withdrawing the special prize Haley received. You got to watch the paternalists. Even so, there are those who benefit from all this. And Alex Haley's 1967 Roots saga was popularized by a television miniseries in the 1970s. He claimed it to be a true portrayal of his family's history based on his painstaking research. That's a lie. In fact, he dedicated the last chapter at the end of the novel describing his so-called research, Morris. All lies. And shortly after the miniseries aired, Haley was sued by two authors of plagiarizing his novel. Harry Colander, author of a different 1967 novel, The African, claimed that Roots was a thinly viewed plagiarism of his work. And before the trial ended, Haley settled with Colander for the sum of $650,000. And the presiding judge in Colander's plagiarism suit stated that Alex Haley perpetuated a hoax on the public. Right? And the clothing chapter in which Haley described his so-called research at various libraries and historical archives in his attempt to back up his family's oral traditions has also been embarrassingly debunked. All lies. Professional genealogists, historians, and assorted scholars have exposed the Roots novel is largely unsupported by any viable facts and are contradicted by existing evidence. Also, that settlement Haley was forced to pay Colander was largely ignored by the media, and almost nobody known of it or even heard of the settlement. Why? Because the hoax was so big, they wanted to keep Negroes that thought they would steal some Negro blacks and colors. And in the early 1970s, they saw two respectable genealogists try to expand on his work. And they were pretty much dumbfounded when they discovered that many of the records Haley claims to have seen did not exist. And those that did exist were so badly misquoted and misused so as to make it almost comical. You see this? And you got to remember, Haley wanted a Pulitzer Prize for this trash. But then so did that son of a Klansman, Al Gore, for the trash of the global warming. I researched everything. And the man that Haley identified as his successor, a slave named Toby, could not possibly have been Kunta Kinte, because Toby was an American in 1762, years before the ship Haley claims abducted him arrived. And Toby also could not have been Haley's ancestor either, Morris, because he died 8 years before Haley claims that Toby's daughter and Haley's fictitious ancestor, Kizzy, was born. I'm telling you, all lies. Nor is it likely that the person Haley identified as his ancestor, Kunta Kinte, was ever abducted in the fashion Haley portrays. And Kunta Kinte allegedly went off into the woods to find wood for a drum, was captured by white slavers, never to be seen again in Africa. This is the story, right? Thus, this is not the way slaves were obtained. European and American slavers purchased black slaves from Muslim traders and local tribal chieftains. Also, research the origins of African slavery. It's just a lot that we're not educated on. We just stay in a particular fashion and stay there. Yeah, it's all scams. Also, a journalist, Philip Noble, writing in the Village Voice in the early 1990s, did an expose of the Roots and Haley. He called it one of the great literary hoaxes of modern times. Nobile also exposed the fact that Haley had a ghostwriter work with him on Roots, a Playboy editor named Murray Fisher. In his article, Noble called Roots an elegant and complex makeup as you go along scams. The Chicago Tribune, Clarence Page, a defender of false narrative, frequent guest on MSNBC, and Stillwater defender of the leftist ideology, responded, I think Nobel, missed the larger, more important truth. If Roots was a hoax, it was a hoax Americans wanted desperately to believe. Ooh, me. Y'all hear that? I'm telling y'all, man. So apparently Clarence Page firmly believed that the public should be misled and lied to in order to facilitate and advance a false narrative. And it will also appear that Mr. Page is on the same page as George Soros, who wrote Gathering Public Supports, takes precedence over the pursuit of truth. I mean, we could touch all avenues, man, of history when we say it's just what it is. You see how we touching everything, y'all? And like I said, tomorrow gonna be our day. We're gonna have a good day. I told y'all Kwanzaa was all made up. I'm showing y'all stuff in history, so we got to remove the veil if somebody lied to us. Ain't nobody lied to us from nothing. A lot of us would just kept tradition stuff on and doing things with no meaning. Y'all know Kwanzaa is made up too, right? Right, Morris? When we see when people let us get us off the mission and get us caught up in a whole bunch of black holidays and things, and not understanding the laws and the true modernized laws and how things are just packaged differently. They just package things up differently and throw them back at you. Y'all know Kwanzaa is made up too, right? Y'all know that, right? Islam?
Islam.
Somebody talk to me. Y'all know that's made up too, right? Islam. Empress said Islam. Islam Moors? Islam? We almost done. Y'all know that's made up, right, Moors? So we can correct when a person trying to get us caught up in things with no meaning and try to have you doing stuff for nothing. It's like, wait a minute, no, man, I ain't got to deal with that crap that you brought to me, that somebody brought to throw you off what's really important in life. Trying to get you caught up in some damn holidays. Holidays are not holy days, getting you caught up in all stuff. And then you see Morris talking about, we finna go celebrate Kwanzaa. Like Morris don't even know what Kwanzaa is all about. And I say, why do we, once we understand things and once we're educated on things, why would we continue to do the same thing? That's like suicide. That's like shooting yourself. Kwanzaa celebrated exclusively by white liberals. That's a fake holiday invented in 1966. By black radical FBI stooge Ron Karenga, aka Dr. Maulana Karenga, founder of the United Slaves, the violent nationalist rivals to the Black Panthers. The violent nationalist rival to the Black Panthers. Didn't y'all know that? In the annals of the American 60s, Karenga was the father Gapon, the stooge of the Cazares police. All this stuff is free information when people get you caught up in garbage. And what was ultimately a foolish gamut during the madness of the 60s, the FBI encouraged the most extreme black nationalist organization in order to discredit and split the left. And the more preposterous the group, the better. And it is the same function Madonna and Martin Sheen serve today, per se. It's just what it is. You can research anything if you know how to research. By the creation, Karenga's United Slaves was perfect. And despite modern perceptions that blend all the black activists of the 60s, the Black Panthers did not hate whites. Although some of their most high-profile leaders were drug dealers and murderers, they did not seek armed revolution per se, Morris. And those were the precepts of Karenga's United Slaves. The United Slaves were proto-fascists, walking around in dashikis, gunning down Black Panthers and adopting invented African names. And I will not be shooting any Black Panthers next week because I'm a Kwanzaa reform and we are not that observant. This is the stuff they used to be saying. And it's as if David Duke invented a holiday called Angelica, which he based the philosophy of Mein Kampf. And clueless public school teachers began celebrating a made-up so-called holiday. It's all racist, no disrespect to no one. If we know whether Karenga was a willing FBI informant or just someone that got caught up and remains unclear. Just like me and my dad was watching the film and we was just laughing how the Negro just sold everybody out, told on the whole operation because he couldn't sit his sorry butt down for 3 months in jail. So they made this goofball being informant and just made up stuff and fraudulent and trapped everybody with doing a whole bunch of stuff. And he said he just entrapped people. I'm telling you. But in the category of the gentleman, the youth protests too much. Back in the 70s, Karenga was quick to criticize Nigerian newspapers that claimed that certain American black radicals were CIA operatives. And Karenga publicly denounced the idea, saying Africans must stop generalizing about the loyalists and motives of Afro-Americans, including a widespread suspicion of black Americans being CIA agents. See, that's a real agent when somebody working for the police, not when somebody don't agree with you. In a 1995 interview with Ethnic News Watch, Karenga, matter of factly, explained that the forces out to get O.J. Simpson for the framed murders of the two whites included the FBI, the CIA, and the State Department, the Interpol, the Chicago Police Department, and so on. This is what Karenga said. Karenga should know about the FBI infiltration. He further noted that the evidence against OJ did not eliminate unreasonable doubt and an interesting standard of proof. This is what he said. Now we know that the FBI fueled the bloody rival between the Panthers and the United Slaves. In one barbarous outburst, Karinga's United Slaves shot 2 Black Panthers to death, right? On the UCLA campus. Al Bunche, Carter, and John Huggins. Karinga himself served time, a useful stepping stone for the current position as a Black Studies professor at California State University at Long Beach. Right? So when we talk about stuff, man, we just got to clear up the falseness. I'm telling you. Karinga's invented holiday is a nutty blend of the 60s rhetoric, Black racism, and Marxism. The 7 principles of Kwanzaa are the very same principles of the Symbionese Liberation Army. The same thing. Another invention of the worst generation. And in 1974, Moors. That's right. And in 1974, Patty Hearst kidnapped a victim, Vic Kumsla, the revolutionary, posed next to the banner of her alleged captors and a 7-headed cobra. I mean, it'd be right there. Each snakehead stood for one of the SLA's revolutionary principles: Umoja, Kunjulia, Unjima, Unjama, Kia, Kumba, and Imani. These are the exact same 7 principles of Kwanzaa. And Kwanzaa praises collectivism in every possible area of life. Economics, work, personality, even litter removal. Kumba, everyone should strive to improve the community and make it more beautiful. It takes a village to raise a police snitch. And when Karinga was asked to distinguish Kwanzaa or Karinga or whatever his philosophy was, the philosophy underlying Kwanzaa for classical Marxism, he essentially said that under Kawaida, we also hate whites. And I don't hate no whites, because that ain't nothing but a status. I don't hate nobody. And that's the problem. I don't operate under no hate. Kwanzaa praises collectivism in all them ways, you know? I'm telling you. So it's a lot that he did. He kidnapped people, you know? I'm telling y'all, what y'all got to understand, man, that Kwanzaa was the result of the 60s psychosis grafted under the Black community. Liberals have become so mesmerized with multicultural gibberish that they have forgotten the real history of Kwanzaa and Karinga's United Slaves. The violence, the Marxism, the insanity, when they trying to get us like, that ain't what we about. Everything can be done legally and lawfully, and that's what they don't want us to do. Most absurdly, Morris, the leftists, anyway, they have forgotten the FBI's tactic, encouragement of this murderous Black nationalist cult founded by the father of Kwanzaa. And Kwanzaa emerged not from Africa, but from the FBI's COINTELPRO. I mean, this is simple stuff. When we accusing our brother and sister because you don't agree with what somebody said, and you would sit up there and call somebody a COINTELPRO or agent because you don't agree with them. Shame on you. You don't know what a real COINTEL and an agent really is about. Just like Christmas time, just like the same way with Kwanzaa. It almost means the same thing. America, you know what that means? It's almost Kwanzaa. The same season when public school and classrooms across the fruited plain have pointlessly avoided Christmas, but have teamed with less lessons about Kwanzaa and a handful of holidays which aren't Christmas per se. Look at how people be talking about this some Black holiday, Kwanzaa. As an educator, Moorish, as a scholar, as an adept, as a Moorish master craftsman. Once again, Moorish, I'm here to tell you the truth. I don't have no motive. And truly bizarre history of the violent, the deranged and radical so-called Black nationalists who concocted and put up this scheme and a completely artificial holiday of Kwanzaa in 1966. The creator of Kwanzaa is Mulana Nubuzinza Karinga. That's who he was. He was convicted in 1971 for brutally torturing two naked women. The weapons of torture included a soldering iron, a vice, and of course, a toaster. And the women were members of Karinga's ultra-radical groups. Deborah Jones, who once was given the Swahili title of the African Queen, says she and Gailey Davis were whipped with the electric cord and beaten with a karate baton after being ordered to remove their clothes. So you can research all this. Karinga tortured Jones and Davis with the help of other members of his cult because Karinga believed that the torture victims were using magic crystals to assassinate him on behalf of his enemies. The victims said that they were living at Karinga's home when Karinga accused them of trying to kill him by placing crystals in the food and water and in various areas of his house. I mean, you can go on and on with it, man. So don't get mad at me, but I want to stay there. We just building this historicalness because it's still so-called Black History Month. We're gonna remove that. Y'all know that I told y'all that Willie Lynch letter was a lie too, right? I showed y'all the book. I showed you all the science about how Willie Lynch letter is a lie, right? So we know that, right, Morris? I'm showing you how all this stuff these kids be learning in so-called African American studies is all a lie, right? So I want us to know this. All that stuff is fake. The problem with a lot of misnomer Black people is, and that's why Black people can't get ahead, per se. So we got to understand about certain things. We got to understand about falseness. And we got to stop it right then when we know it's false. And we can't keep spreading that to our kids. They make these kids recite this at colleges and everything. Even the so-called Black members of the House of Representatives along the way became the essential verbal footnote in barbershops and everywhere. People talking about this Willie Lynch. Remember when they did the Million Man March and Farrakhan talk about some Willie Lynch? He knew that was a lie. So if he knew that was a lie, why would we go out there and say a whole lie to the world? You know? Why? I showed y'all the book where Willie Lynch, all that stuff is a lie. It's a lie. All these colleges, even professors, have that as required reading. And these so-called our own people, they have the Willie Lynch as required reading. And that's all false. It's all fallacy. According to the speech's preface, Master Lynch was concerned enough with the fortunes of his ex-slave holding brethren in American colonies to present a lecture on the bank of James River, explaining how to keep unruly servants disunited. The old, he argued, should be pitted against the young, the dark against the light, the male against the female, and so on and so forth, right? Such disunifying tactics will control the slaves for at least 300 years. That's what he guaranteed, right? Right, Ma? Mm-hmm. So, as a historian, as all these Moors be historian, because I know so many Moors will get up there and give these pseudo teachings, and I'll be like, man, that's not a historian. I'm generally skeptical of smoking guns. Remember when I told y'all, if it's a Willie Lynch letter, if a person say they is a scholar, that would be prophetic. That would be a major find in scholar, in our work as scholars. That would be a historical work. That would be just like forensic science, right? I'm telling you. Slavery was an incredible complex set of social, economic, and legal relations that literally boiled down to so-called black and white. But given the variation in size of farms, numbers of enslaved workers, Moors, region, crops grown, law, gender ratios. When I asked Moors, do you know the real cause of the Civil War? Moors be like, oh, this gold over there. I said, no, because the tittle of your blood, you was a Negro. That's what. And nobody couldn't tell who the Negro was, because a tittle of the blood, if your mom was a Negro, you were the Negro. That's what. religion, and local economy. And just because you were some religious slave or you got religion, when I showed y'all about the religious slave, one of the books, I'll pull it out. Just because you thought you was baptized and got some baptism certificate from your master, you thought you can take that to court and free you. And the court showed you weren't nothing but a baptized religious slave. Don't get mad at me for telling you the truth. It's just what it is. And it is unlikely that a single letter could explain slave policy for at least 151 years of the institution and its ramifications down to the present day, considering the limited number of extant sources from 18th century. If the speech had been discovered, Moors, it would have been the subject of all historical panels. Think about it. All scholarly articles and debates. Think about it. Think about it. It would literally be a career-making find, but the letter was never discovered. Rather, it simply appeared on the internet. I'm telling you, and on TVs, and then they drafted into the canon of American racial conspiracy. I mean, I can go on and on to show you how the language don't even match up, but I wouldn't even have time for that. But we've done that before. But I can show you how all the language it doesn't match up. Nothing adds up, you know? If you are linguistic and you understand words and language, and you just not get caught up in somebody that's telling you something. So, have Moors ever read, when I say, have you ever seen this? Because we almost done. Judah trembles under Rome. Judah trembles under Rome. By Rudolph and Windsor. The stand what wrote about from Babylon to Timbuktu. So watch, let me read y'all something. And I'm gonna read something to you about the Masonic concept. Just like when I be teaching about unto thee I grant and all this, I'm gonna break this stuff down tomorrow with our civics and our history and our biblical and our Quranic studies. In ancient Israel, like other ancient people, the Hebrews believed that the idea of a Messiah, and their Hebrew word Mashah or Mishai, Messiah in English means anointed one. And this meaning developed because the high priests and the kings of Israel were anointed with oil. And the process of anointing in Israel became the mean investing the high priest and the kings with power and authority. You can research that in Exodus 29:7 and 1 Samuel 16:13. You got to be able to break things down. But many of the kings in ancient Israel were anointed by the prophets of Solomon's case. He was anointed by the high priest Zadok, Z-A-D-O-K, 1 Kings 1:30. The kings in Israel were considered Messianic kings, which really means only anointed kings. Now, well, let me tell you something in the biblical scriptures. When I tell you, you have to get different Bibles. You have to get the Holy Name Bible. You have to get the God Name Bible. But when you get the 1599 Geneva Bible, it'll start making things clear. And when you read in Jeremiah, when people be going certain places, you will see that they go into certain blackamoors. So then you will start piecing the story together. And that's a whole nother story. But in many cases in ancient Israel, the head of the state or the kings were considered deliverers, redeemers, savers, or rescuers, magi, sheiks, adepts, same stuff. But such was the case with Moses, who was, with the help of the Creator, developed the Hebrews from slavery in Egypt. And in kings and in ancient Israel would lead his armies in battle, or he would appoint a general to lead it. Many times the Creator God would instruct the king concerning the battle plans, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm trying to show y'all more is when we talk about gods and names, we don't get caught up in nobody telling us things. Don't we know it was 16 crucified saviors before Jesus Christ and all that? We know that, right? This is what I be telling you when I say I'm getting ready to close this up, and I'm gonna close up with more science because I'm touching all avenues, and I hope we can catch this. We know with the world it was 16 crucified saviors before some so-called Jesus Christ, right, Morris? Right, Morris? Islam? Come on. That's why we don't get caught. That's why this is more science, and we don't gravitate to no so-called religion that we miss the essence of all the rest. If we are some religious Al-Islam Muslims, we out of pocket. If we some Christian Moor or some Al-Islam Moor, we out of pocket. Why? Because we believe in something outside of ourselves. If we some European under some masonry, I don't care if it's a Negro masonry, Prince Hall, Scottish Rite, you out of pocket because you got somebody over you. You got some poobah, and you know it, and they buried you in a shallow grave, and you're not going to tell the people the truth, and you're going to wear your fez only at home. So we're going to tell the truth of the matter today. So that's what we're going to do. But then we get in more science as Sufis. That's where I be, and that's why I be saying we take it to the highest level. When I say I get it to the highest level, because we supposed to be Sufis and adepts. That's why, and I be saying, and when I go to the higher science, I know a lot of people ain't at the higher science. Because if it was 16 crucified saviors, how can we diss anybody else's belief system? How am I? If it was 16 crucified saviors based on the same concepts. And then we say we more than adepts, and then I ask more, well, what's our religion? They don't understand. And when I say, well, what are we studying?
More science.
Thank you. And that's what I be trying to educate us on. I'm like, we getting it twisted. We pointing the finger. We pointing the finger at everybody. Oh, they wrong. This person wrong. I'm like, how can a person be wrong if we understand the science? I just broke it down. Monotheism. We're Mohammedans, and a lot of stuff is based off monotheism. If we connect the science, what's the problem? If it's a creation, it had to be a creator. I don't get into little dog fights. I get into the real science. If it's a creation, it got to be a creator. Point blank.
And you can call him what you want.
And if you read the teachings, it said a prophet come in the voice of the people. Why? So you won't be confused with the message. So if I speak a different tongue, why will my prophet come in a voice that's going to confuse me and I don't know? If my prophet come in a different voice, the first thing he's going to come out in a linguistic. He's going to have to teach me the words that's coming out of his damn mouth before I can understand any science. That's what I've been trying to get us to understand when a person, I got to learn all these different languages. Yeah, that's cool, but that ain't got nothing to do with righteousness. So here again, you're going to let somebody tell you that your language is not worthy enough for you to understand and praise to God within you. You got to learn some other language. You got to be a fool. You got to be a fool. Got to be a fool. But it claimed by the disciple of so-called Jesus Christ that he was the supernatural and the divine origin. All this across the boards. Although he was woman conceived, he was a deity begotten and molded. When I watch this, just like the Baphomet, it's all the same. All the same. Just like in Greek, but all the same. And molded in human form, but comprehending in essence and a full measure of infinite Godhead. That's the infinite and the finite. That's the cherubim and the cherubim. That's the circle and the seven. Come on, that's making him half human and half divine in his sublimary origin. Come on, man, that's more science. It is claimed that he was full and perfect God and perfect man. Saying we talking about man, we talking about us, made in the image. And while he was God, talking about us, he was also the Son of God. We were made in his image, and as such was sent down by the Father to save the fallen and guilty world. That's what we doing, ordained by who? The great God of Allah, to do what? Save man from what? Our sinful ways. Let's keep going. And thus this mission pertaining to the whole human race and his inspired seers, magi's, adepts, whatever you want to call it, are made to declare the ultimately every nation, tongue, kindred, and people under heaven will acknowledge allegiance to his government and concede his right to reign and rule the people under heaven. Come on, man. I mean, so let's clear it up because we almost done. Watch this. Watch this, y'all. Upon the grounds of millions of the established believers in divine revelation, hundreds of millions of believers in the divine character and origin of so-called religion reject the pretentious setup for the words or the verbiage Jesus Christ. They admit both a God and a Savior, but do not accept Jesus of Nazareth as being either. They admit a Messiah, but not the Messiah. When I tell you Allah, when I break things down in words of Hebrew and people be talking about Yahshua, and you get a lot of religious people, like a lot of the Hebrew Israelites, no disrespect to no one, but I'm a linguistic. If you take things to the court of law, you would be proven wrong because Yahshua, Yahuwah, all those words just mean the God, and that's a title. That's a title. You can never put the in front of nothing. That's why when you start doing linguistics, it's just what it is. And Allah crossed the borders because there's no other name to replace Allah. I guarantee you, as God, God. Allah is God. If you travel to Egypt, you might see some people that speak Arabic. They might not be under certain science, but when they say Allah, they just saying God. I hope we understand this. It's no replacement. I hope y'all follow me. But they claim to have honor with the birth of the true Savior among them and defend this claim upon the grounds of priority of date. They aver that the events of the Messiahs were long prior to that of the Christians and that of the circumstance adjudicates from the from the superiority of claim as to having had the true Messiah born upon their soil. It is argued that as the story of the incarnation of Christians, Savior is more recent date than those, of the Oriental and the ancient religious, as is decoded by Christians themselves. The origin of the former is thus indicated and foreshadowed as the being and outward growth from, if not plagiarism, upon the latter, a borrowed copy, of which the pagan stories furnish the original. I hope y'all follow me. That's why they call themselves sons of Muslims. That's why I be laughing at Moors when they accuse me, oh, you see some European maids here. I say, you can't see, I ain't under no European oath. This is our science. We don't wear the fez clandestine. That's why Moors, they radical Moors, and they not scientists. They're not nobles, because they not teaching nothing. But here then, Moors, we observe a revivalship of claims as to which of the remarkable personage means, who have figured in the world of saviors, Messiah, and sons of God, in different ages and different countries, can be considered the true Savior and sent of God, or whether all should be, or the claims of all rejected. And for researchers in Oriental history reveal the remarkable fact, Moors, that stories of incarnated gods answering to resembling the miraculous character of a so-called Jesus Christ have been prevalent in most, if not all, the principal religious heathen nations of antiquity. Heathen nations, who, when I talk about the Hellenistic, when I break it down in 1828 dictionary, what the Hellenistic Jew was, what that language talks about. We got to be right with things. And the accounts and narratives of some of these defiant incarnations bear such a striking resemblance to that of the so-called Christian Savior, not only in their general features, but in some cases, the most minute details. But final Moors, you got more than 20 so-called Jesus Christ, accepting their character of the name, laid at the foundation for the salvation of the world, and descended back to heavens. You know that? We've been investigating this. It been claims of this so-called divine honor, defiled, just like in our Moorish Quran, chapter 47, I think it's chapter 43, 11. This Hebrew God is the deity of Allah. You priests of Capvistu. But he came forward and presented himself at the bar of the world. Research this, man. Research this stuff. The contest, the verdict of Christendom in having proclaimed Jesus Christ, the only Son, the only. When they say only, that means one. We know it ain't the only one. Why? Because we just broke it down. He ain't the only one and sent of God. Oh, so you say ain't nobody else sent of God. And in the Bible, in the scriptures, it says many gods and there's many lords. It tell you in the biblical scriptures. I mean, we're not studying words. We get caught up in somebody else's God. 20 messiahs, saviors, and sons of God. That's why Leviticus 25:10 is on the Liberty Bell, according to history or tradition. You got all these characters before Jesus Christ: Ada of the Assyria, Adonis, son of the Virgin Lo of Greece, Acletus of Thebes, Addis of Pygia, Baal and taught on the begotten son of the Phoenicia, Bali of Afghanistan, Bedaru of Japan, Buddha Sky of India, Cadamus of Greece, Crete of Chaldea, Devata and Samositium of Siam, divine teacher of Plato, Fuai and Tian of China, Gintat and Quilapto of Mexico, Hissus of Eros, and Blura of the Druids, Hila and Fida of the Mandiats. I mean, man, I can go on and on. All over this stuff, man. Joya of Nepal, Krishna of the Hindustan, Mikoya of Sintus, Indra of Tibet, Holy One of Akka. I mean, what? Thor, son of Odin of the Gauls, universal monarch of the Sibyls, with Tuba of the Bilanese, Zora of the Bonzes, Zoroaster of the Mithra of Persia. When I talk about Zoroastrianism, all off monotheism, all off the same one God theory, Zulus of Zul, also Osiris and Horus of Egypt. Both were incarnated and born of a woman. The mother in each case was a holy virgin. The father of each one was a carpenter. Both were of royal descent. Each had the title of Savior. Both were without sin. Both were crucified. Both were crucified between two thieves. Each taught of a great and final day of judgment. I mean, we can cross the border with the concepts. We don't get caught up in that crap, most. You see this? That's why I said before we move on with anything, we must build ourselves up to be ready for the teachings, or it'll all just be books, and we won't pick the science up. So when Moors be saying they sheiks and all this, do the Moors know what the triple roll of the adapt chamber really consists of? Because I done wrote the manuscripts, and I'm done, because I'm connecting everything. Do any Moors know what the triple roll of the adapt chamber consists of? Yes or no? This for those that say they teaching this and they teach the teachings and blah they split on what is correct. Because if we understand what the triple roll of the adapt chamber is, and then we wouldn't be saying half of the stuff we're saying. We'll go right back on here and correct ourselves from righteousness. Especially these Moors that I wrote the literature, and I want all the Moors to get the science from me. Do any Moors know what the triple roll of the adapt chamber is? Because I ain't even getting into the third heaven. This is the elementary science when Moors be promulgating themselves, when they be dressed up. See? And that's the thing when I be telling Moors, it's like, but we say we adepts. If a Moor say they adept, when you put this on your head, if you study under the right auspices, this is lower level science. What I'm giving us, this is 32 and 33 degrees of science, what I'm talking about. That's how I know we out of pocket when Moors just want to say, well, I'm part of some temple. I say, okay, you part of a building. That's all you part of, because it's the teaching. Watch. What I'm talking about is lower level science. Watch this. Matter of fact, now I got to build us all up. That's why I say we out of pocket. Well, I'll give you this. It's no longer when the people be asking me, should we become Masons and all that? Absolutely not. We shouldn't be doing none of that. Why? Because there's no longer need for none of that stuff. Because our prophet and I teach us, and we give us the 32 and the 33 degrees in our divine instruction number 2. That's why I said Moors just be wanting books and they just reading stuff and they don't understand how to interpret it. They're not being taught because Moors got the science right there. And we be looking for some outside ourselves. That's how I know Moors not operating right. It's in our divine instruction number 2. So there ain't no reason to join them outside. It's that simple. How? When we place the tarba and the mithra, which is the turban. The turban, when we wear the turban symbolized something on our captu or on our crown and gave us the science. That's why I said our science is this whole fez. We got to know what it is. If we just wearing the fez, we just are self-identifying. But we can't be giving ourselves no titles. We can't be giving ourselves no titles if we don't know the lower level science. We playing, and then we operating on our own understanding under a belief system. And that's how I know we be playing. And Moors just be making up stuff. I said we operate on a compass and a square. If a Moor don't know that, they tripping. We travel through the compass and the square. We use our compass to keep all our carnal desires under control. It's in our Quran, chapter 5. Come on, man. This is our workman tools. And if Moors don't understand the triple roll of the adapt chamber, it's a problem. It's a problem. It's a lot of frauds that just dress up like something. And that'd be the problem. You can wear your fez, but don't be going around teaching someone or trying to tell somebody what it is, and then you can't demonstrate it, because that's the demonstrating when you can defend yourself righteously, and when you see another adept, you obligated to stop right then. Because your life can be put out just as well. If you lying to the people, getting them caught up in fraudulent concealment. But the triple roll of the adapt chamber, it's three rights. You know, it have revealed in the inner triplicity in announcing the formation of the 3 orders or degrees within itself. When we talk about the fatima. And that's why I can't believe the Moors talk about they adapt and they don't know this. The fatima order, the order of Jerusalem, and the paraclete, the order of the paraclete. This is elementary adapt wisdom when Moors talk about, oh, I went through the adapt chamber. No, they didn't. But each of these orders is instrumental. in the interfaith, you know. But each of them, they speak a little differently. They all had a specialty, you know. When I say the art of war, understand how everybody think, and it represents the three Western monotheisms in their essential and esoteric harmony. The amenity of faith is achieved through heresy, or the non-colonial interpretations of doctrine. And these are the religions, the views and experiences you got to understand in them in the light of our prophets Noble Drew Ali, Circle 7 Quran, which make use of the esoteric Christian and the Rosicrucian Apocrypha by a syncretic principle we have inherited, right? And for us, the monotheism are living, mutating entities, interpret and mutually, right? Illuminative. And this possession has been called what? Somewhat what? We got to understand what it is when people make stuff up as plagiarism, and I just broke that down the other day, and I showed you where all the science come from, right? It showed you that our prophet was a genius as he synchronized all this stuff. And that's what I'll be telling more. We got to get out of our lower self and get into the teachings. I don't want to get all into different orders, but the Fatimid order is primarily Islamic. It deploys a spiritual initiatic affirmation with a revolutionary Islamism. The order concerns itself with the Kemetism in Egypt and the Islamic tradition. The order of Jerusalem is the Jewish, but specifically Judeo-Canaanite, or Hebreo-pagan, or Jewish magical in emphasis. You know what I mean? I don't want to stay too over that, but you know, the Paraclete is the Christian order, you know? So I want us to understand those things and not let nobody get you caught up in no hogwash. Clear, Morris? I hope we clear. I hope we clear on things. But I want to leave you all this. A lot of people, when you see us posting books on Sufism, and especially be Europeans, no disrespect to no one, and I say they all got the science from Moors, if you research them. When people be posting stuff about Adam Blavatsky and all that stuff, I'll show you where they got all the science from. P.V. Beverly Randolph was an African, of course, but I'll show you where all those other was. Alex Crowley, when he wanted to be Serapis Bey, I'll show you where they twist the teachings and threw it back to you as spookism, and they use it. I promise you it. I promise you this as well. Madame Blavatsky studied Sufism and the Coptic Christianity and the Druid order, which she described as the last surviving of the archaic wisdom, claimed to be a student of her master, Serapis Bey. While in Cairo, Madame Blavatsky met Jamal ad-Din al-Afghani, an outstanding Muslim thinker, radical leader, and Sufi teacher. So I show you where all they got the teaching from, but then they try to bury your prophet in a shallow grave, you know? Rawson was they say he was one of the founders of the Mystic Shrine. But I show you how the European always try to make themselves something. And I show you the teachings where who created the nobles of the Mystic Shrine in the 1800s. And I show you their paperwork, they stuff in the 1900s. I'm telling you. It's just what it is, man. All that stuff. They know our prophet Noble Drew Ali taught this science. And it's just what it is. And a lot of stuff we're not educated on. So any questions? Any questions? I'm done. I got 10. Any questions? Hold on. All right, if there ain't no questions, Morris, like I said, the hats, like our baseball caps, man, and our hoodies getting ready to be done real soon. They're gonna be professionally made. I'm telling you, man, it ain't gonna look no cheap stuff. I'm getting the stuff done perfectly with our hoodies, man. But I'm gonna teach our civic lesson live tomorrow, especially for students. If anybody not a student, I'm just gonna be delete, blocked, delete, block, because I want us to be students. If this is what we say, we want to be educated on more science, then I encourage you to be a student and a member. Inbox me, and then I'll send you my email address, and I'll show you how. I'll send you our syllabus and our enrollment package, and I'll show you what it consists of. But I'm gonna continue to teach and continue to try to get the public and brothers and sisters to become students. We are a school and we're real. And then the only way we're going to learn is to be students and be educated by our own brother and give us something to compare to. Because once we get the physical building, man, now we connecting all avenues. We'll be online and we'll be physical. Any questions, Morris? Any questions? Any questions? Because we can't go on with doing business and we don't know who we are first, and we'll be doing stuff prematurely. We'll be going to stuff excited, thinking we're supposed to get something, not correcting ourselves first, and then we won't do all the research. We'll try to skip some stuff because we'll be so excited because we ain't lowered ourselves down. I promise you. And when you operate in your higher self, you will start seeing things right. You will start doing business the right way. You will start synchronizing with the right people. Question is, how come the Moors can't get control of the insubordinate temples? They can if they see. Oh, that's a good question, man. They can. They can if they enforce the law, if the temple's charter is the right way. Because if things are not real, then you can bring up laws. You can bring up charges. That's what I'll be saying. Just like, say, for instance, if somebody operating in our organization and they portraying something, because a real Moor and under our charter, all we supposed to teach is our divine creed and our nationality. That's what the charter says. So if they got a charter, on that charter, it's something specifically that they're supposed to be saying. I read it the other day. On the charter, it's specifically things. If you're not obeying what your charter say you specifically supposed to do, what you are doing is operating outside of your charter, which is a crime, which is getting ready to happen. That's why I keep telling people, man, I'm like, a lot of people have fake charters. They doing things outside of the law. That's why certain people looked at as domestic terrorists. Just like the task force, the police drug task force, got a drug task force online. They got the same thing with this so-called black sovereign stuff. And I call them domestic terrorists. It ain't no different. I only talk about stuff that I know. So they know a lot of people, these temples are not real because the charters are not real. They're not looked up. I break all this stuff down, what the 1010 number means. That's an affidavit that Noble Drew Ali used to set up the Moorish Science Temple. So a person can make a card and say Moorish Science Temple of America. If you can't look them up and it's valid, they wrong. So a person that portrays something as Moorish Science Temple, then, okay, let's see here if you part of the Moorish Science Temple, we can be looked up because there's stuff on the back of our cards, the Moorish vital statistics. So it's just things that can be done, and a person to charge you with those charges. Before anything can be a crime, that body that you're misrepresenting have to bring up charges, and it's getting ready to happen. You know, and then see, and that's, I know. So you probably know Marcel L. What his name? What's his name? Warden L. I know. I forget Marcel Warden L. There's a lot of people out there that do things. I'm telling you, man, it's a lot of people that hide themselves and don't be honest with things. There's a lot of people that fraudulent conceal things, but we deal with things with law. If the temple is set up the right way, and if nationality is the order of the day, we shouldn't be trying to sell nobody nothing or make no money off nobody. Whatever the process is, if it's a single charge, and if we're chartered the right way, because the Moorish Science Temple of America have a tax exempt status, that means it's a tax exempt status. That means you didn't buy nothing. That means that was the contribution for that service. So if it's set up the right way, we should be on the corner screaming, come one, come all Negro, black, and color, come through the Moorish Science Temple of America, which our prophet set up as a certain, like a census. Once we do that, and set up an ID pool, which the law says that tribes have the right to self-identify. So if that's the case, then the next step, they need to be telling the proof about the duality of the true AA22 number, where we take that to the world courts. Once you have 30,000 Negro, blacks, and color nationalized as Moors, when you proclaim, declare, and have due process, when you sign a petition, that's the problem. So that's what we must clear up. You see, that's what we must clear up. So I can't speak for everyone. I only can speak for myself, for my household. And if Moors, we want to talk about some reparations, then we must restore ourselves. Who? All of us back to our original state. Nobody should be on those census talk about claiming some damn white or some black. And I told you, white is not your race. White is just a status. If your paperwork say things white, your status is white. You are Moorish American. Your race is Asiatic. Your nationality is Moorish American. Your nationality is Moorish American. Your race is Asiatic. Your status is white. I show this all the time. I'll be breaking legal words down, and people don't be understanding when I'm talking about what is a power of attorney. And then I say, okay, so do you know the duality of the words? Let me show you how people can represent a person no matter if they dead or gone, but we not operating right. Any more questions? Any more questions? Any more questions? A lot of things was done the right way. But like I said, I got a lot of stuff how the temple was set up. But now we got to say, are people doing it the right way? And if we know they're not doing it the right way, well, then we got to call it out. And we got to bring up charges. That's what must be done. That's what must be done. That's what must be done. If we got to clean our own house up. If your own brother is lying to you and fraudulent concealing stuff to you, well, we need to hold those accountable. We need to hold them accountable. We need clean house. That's what must be done. Because more science is no secret. More science ain't no secret code. You are more by birthright. It was more way before our prophet. Our prophet just did a solid for us. That's why I know if you know the laws, if you know history, international law, no one can make you something. No one can denationalize you. No one can make you something that you were born. You must proclaim, declare, and have due process. And you must use your being L and next it to your name. That's the first process when we talk about the old becoming the new. That's the first process about proclaiming and declaring have due process. I don't give a damn of nobody making you no card. That card don't mean nothing if we ain't took it to the higher courts. It don't mean nothing. It don't mean nothing because it ain't went to the proper channels. When I show you how a lot of stuff was done, but it didn't go any further. When I show you all correspondences and things, when letters was sent to presidents and things, I show you a lot of work is done, but it hasn't went to the next level. And so on the next level is how the body set up these temples. They ain't operating right. And so that's what I say, man. I leave y'all with that. Any more questions? Any more questions? We got 5 more minutes on YouTube. We got 5 more minutes. I answer 5 more questions. 5 more minutes of questions. Because it's about to cut off on IG. You got to go on my YouTube page, Kari Ibn Hakeem Goodman Bay. We got 5 more minutes on YouTube. Any more questions? I told y'all, I never seen you in no burning house, and I never have you doing something I wouldn't do. That's a hypocrite. 5 more minutes on YouTube for any more questions. Any more questions? Five more minutes. Any more questions? After Emily L was supposed to be Bro Bass, Bro Bay. Man, that we'll get into another. We know what it is, no, but I have to. I explained trust the other day. Remember I showed y'all the duality of trust? I'm gonna give you that, Noble. Cash App $ KG Bay. I told y'all I'll do anything for just in a donation. That's all you gotta do. It's simple. We got 4 minutes. I'm gonna tell you about that trust real quick in the duality of the temple setup because we get things twisted. We got 3 minutes. I told y'all this. Everybody should have this. If people say they Moorish Science Temple and they say in the charter and all this, you should have this. And this is no mystery. This is no secret or nothing. Every Moorish should have this. Right? Hey, one more thing I'm gonna show you. What is you doing? And a lot of times, a lot of people is confused because they confusing the teachings, and they don't have a lot of the adapt wisdom and the third heaven adept wisdom, and they don't even understand the science and the laws and history, and how a lot of things are set up, and what words mean, and what we should. Let me just say this. I'm not going to say nothing else, but I want to clear these up. At a chartered organization, the MSTA constitutional limitations are restricted to only teach its members. What you say? We doing it right now, Ernie. That's right. We doing it. That's right. We gonna do it right. That's right. Listen, as a chartered organization, the MSTA constitutional limitations are restricted to only teach its members their nationality and divine creed. This is the only way for it to live out its purpose, the uplifting of fallen humanity. From its inception to 1913, the noble group was never intended to be recognized as a national government, Islamic sect, secret order, or as a religion. Yet today, the MSTA is widely known and accepted as such, as its founder has been reduced from a prophet of Allah to a Shriner, just like myself. So, but what we're saying is that a lot of people made stuff up. A lot of Freemasons, Charles Kirkman Bey, Love L, claim to make Moorish Americans out of members, all that. And I told you, no one has the power to make you do none of that, or nationalize you or denationalize you. No one has the power to do that. That's right. Shameful on our people, hungry, and we have to shift through the garbage of yup. And that's why I'm saying it, man. I'm always cleaning this. I'm cleaning it up. You know, this is simple stuff. It's nothing to argue about. That's why people say, well, I'm part of a body. I'm like, well, your body's sick. You want to be a part of a body, you have the option to jump out that body and get out that cancer. We're going to stay in that body. Well, I'm part of this temple. I don't give a damn. The building ain't the teachings. You a part of a whole bunch of people that just got some fezzes on. There ain't no teachings. You know? People get caught up in misteachings. A person say something good and they bring that back, and I say, okay, well, look, are they operating like that? Let's see how they operating like that. Let's see, are they telling you to do all this stuff, but are they doing that? No. Is this real law? No. Is this made up garbage? Yes. Yes. And those that have taken away a man's true identity are criminals. And this practice gave the U.S. courts and outside world an illusion that the MST, the Moorish Science Temple of America, was a religion whose members under the tenets were nationalized with the name Moorish America and loaned the organizational marks of Bay and L. And this was a hoodwinking thing. This was a nationalization hoodwinking that was never empowered or practiced by our Prophet Noble Drew Ali or any upright Moor. No man has the power to nationalize another man. This would change him or her from the descendant nature of his forefathers. Think about this, and then we're going to move on. If one can make or nationalize a Moorish American, one can also make a Chinese or Irish or Sudanese at will, right? Think about that. So when you say a trust, when I tell you about duality, and I'm done, I'm going to tell you about this trust. Because I don't know what Moors be talking about. To be a trustee, remember, it's duality in words. So if I'm going to trust you, that means I got to trust you with something, right? And so for you to be a trustee, it must be something. Monetary, tangible, simple, just like that. So if it ain't nothing for your ass to trust, to be a trustee, or what you going to be a trustee over? Air? You gonna be a trustee over air? If you don't have no land. The Moorish Science Temple of America don't have nothing. That temple is abandoned in Chicago. If you want to buy it, you can buy it. So what somebody talk about they a trustee or a hair over? You missing the science. You taking ownership back of yourself. If you claim your nationality, you missing the science and the duality. That's why Moors be getting caught up squatting in houses, doing all that illegal stuff. Talk about they operate under some Moorish American consulate. They playing, and you going to jail. Just what it is. So I don't even need to go that far. I just explained it that simple. Somebody say they're a trustee or a trust. Okay, well, what you gonna trust? How you gonna be a trustee? It ain't nothing to trust. What you own? What you have? What? I'll wait. So what we talking about, trustee? Or what we talking about in what context of a trust? What type of trust you talking about? Are you talking about your own trust, your personal trust, a living trust? What trust you talking about? Or you got caught up in the lie thinking it's something to trust, like you got some pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. That's what they teaching. That's lies, Moors. So I don't understand the question of what can I break down trust. I just break down some history of trustee and sheiks when I break down. That's why I be saying if Moors say they part of a temple, well, they should have this and how the temple was set up and all the duality of the words right here. It's right here. It's right here. Hell yeah, it'd be wise to set up a living trust. Everybody, all Europeans got living trust. They took everything out of public and make it private. That's why they don't lose nothing. That's why they are called assets. You don't lose assets. Only black folks lose assets. I'm sorry. I hate to say that. Only black folks use assets because we don't understand about public and private. When the Sopranos got locked up, what's my man name? John Gotti. And then you see his kids came out with TV shows. They had mansions and stuff. How you think they were still living in mansions? I thought he was in prison in jail. I thought he got indicted. I thought they confiscated all his funds. You don't know all the law. You don't know full color of the law. I'm trying to tell you. So I'm done. Any more questions? That's it. A lot of us just don't know the duality of words, and until you understand how things are set up, just like I told us the definition and the duality of the word state, I told y'all that's a people permanently occupying a fixed territory bound together by common law, habits, and customs into one body politic, exercising through the medium of organized government, independent sovereignty, and control over all persons and things within its boundaries, capable of making war and peace. I kept telling y'all. So when you enter, and you can enter into relations with communities over the globe, it can be a political unity, correctly viewed as a state is a body politic possessing sovereignty. And any body politic possessing sovereignty is entitled to be what? A state. It's duality of stuff, man. The body politic is defined as a social compact by which the whole people covenant with each citizen and each citizen with the whole people, that all shall be governed by certain laws for the common good. Also a term applied to what? A municipal, a corporation, a school district, a county, or a city, a state, or a public association. You see that duality? So when you look at government, you can see that this term has a connection with the term state. I'm done. I hope y'all understand this. How did we become that? How did the Moorstein Temple of America was established as a religious corporation? By following the affidavit of organization. Document 1010-5905, Form 1010, recorded in the Record of Deeds, office in the County of Cook, State of Illinois. That's simple. That's simple. Just like how I show y'all how stuff, when I talk about our Moorish decree and what was a lot of stuff that was sent to the presidents, and all this stuff. Yeah, I give the truth and the divine truth. I don't care about nobody, no building together. I give us the truth. Nobody gotta like me. And that's why I be telling, we done got caught up in characters. Look at this. I'll show you all this already. This was sent to Bush to tell us this was about our Moorish American Declaration and Proclamation. And now we got to take it to the next level. It's our responsibility. So if these temples is right, why y'all not doing the work? What they doing? I showed y'all the receipt. I showed y'all the receipt who sent it. Didn't I? When people just be making up stuff and I say, well, a lot of people ain't did things the right way. A lot of people ain't took it to work. This was by our brother. Who? Sheikh Elite Pleasant Bay. You see? The same letter that was sent to the president by Sheikh Pleasant Bay, our divine minister, and the Grand National Chairman of the Moorish Americans, when they sent the letter to the president. I showed y'all this a million times. And here go the receipt. So we got to take it to the next level when these Moors just be talking. I'm done. I encourage Moors to become students. I encourage Moors to study systematically and correct ourselves first and be educated on history, law, civics, and business. I encourage Moors to help me build this temple physically so we can have a place to go to. And everything with me is real. I'm a real organization, tax exempt for the federal government, charitable, religious, scientific, educational, all that. I ask for donations to help us build so we can have a physical temple. We get 100 Moors giving $100 a month more. That's $120,000 a year. Watch what we do. I would change this whole teachings. I would have all our children educated. We'll have so much land and we'll become successful. We'll own gold and everything. How? How are we going to get the gold? Because we're going to buy it with our own finances. How are we going to get property? We're going to buy it with our own finances under certain tax codes. That's how. Who's going to build it up? We are. Just like the Amish people. I love y'all, man. Become students. Islam.